Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 222 of our Your Next Level Mastermind. And our topic for today is how do you recharge when you're feeling burnt out? And this topic may not necessarily apply to you, but if truth be told, it has certainly applied to me a few times. And it's something that I struggle with, to be quite honest with you. I actually struggle with it. So how do you recharge when you're feeling burnt out? Okay, because we are all human. Nice to see you, Daniel. We're all human. And there must be days or moments in a day or even a week or whatever it is when you're thinking, bloody hell, yeah, I'm run out of steam. I run out of gas. I run out of energy. I run out of emotion, and I run out of all these things. But if that has happened to you, I would love to hear how you go about solving it, because there are people who can learn from all of us, because we all have a different way of doing it. So thank you very much for contributing today, because this is a very important topic. Okay, and I appreciate if you can help in any way you possibly can. And just very quickly, for those who are watching the replay of this over on YouTube, do me a favor and do yourself a darn favor. Okay, I've said this before and I want to say it again. Reach out to these people. Reach out to Tony and to Fred and to John. Vangelis, good to see you. Daniel, good to see you as well. And Alan and Brian, okay, and Kristine. Reach out to these people, connect with them, book a time to talk with them. It doesn't matter what their specialty is. They know opportunities, they know contacts, they know things that you have no idea about. And they are here giving up their free time in order to help people like you to save your butt. All right. I swear by these people. And I really am saying, talking to you who are watching this recording, don't waste this opportunity. It is too darn good. Okay. With that out of the way now, let's start by getting them to introduce themselves to you. And we're going to start with you, Kristine, if you don't mind. Start with you, followed by you, Tony.
So I'm introducing myself first. Is that it?
I think that's what I tried to say. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my brain was like thinking of something else.
Ladies first.
Yeah, hi. Pardon?
I said ladies first.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm Kristine Best. I am a wellness strategist, and I empower leaders and teams, leaders and entrepreneurs, so that they have wellness in totality, using my Liberate system, a blueprint to wellness. Now, when your leaders and teams and entrepreneurs don't look after themselves well enough, they can end up with aches and pains from sitting way too long at their workstations. They can lose their productivity and create injuries in their body. So what I do is make them aware of the things that they're doing that cause those things, and I help them establish healthy habits and behaviours to get rid of them so that they can stay well into the future and stay productive in their business.
Thank you, Kristine. Well said. Tony B, followed by Gabby. Nice to see you. Followed by Fred.
Tony Buonaiuto. I run and created and help people through this movement called the Buonaiuto movement. It helps people break free from the pain and the patterns in life with their past wounds that quietly sabotage their lives and their relationships. We work with men and women who've been strong for everyone else, but they kind of seem to hold deep down inside some kind of stuck position that makes them exhausted, spiritually empty and angry, bitter, and not feeling really good about themselves. So we help with things that keep them from growing, and take a look at the relationship they have with themselves. I see, because I've lived it through my addictions and my burnouts, running crazy, running from my own truth for a long time. I was lying to myself and I didn't even know it. I was last to find out sometimes. So that's hard. And I help people see their truths and bring it out, bring the best out of them. It fixes people from the inside so they can live free on the outside. Tony Buonaiuto. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony. Very much indeed. Well said. Fred Gillen, followed by Alan before you get back to sleep. So we'll get Fred first.
Thanks, Peter. I run a digital online marketing agency, so I help small businesses with their online marketing, and whether it's building the databases or maintaining the databases or getting their emails happening, all the automations that are involved. Probably been concentrating a lot on the CRM systems at the moment, implementing those for clients, and most recently we're deploying voice AI to act as after-hours receptionists for clients as well, so that they can interact with it's effectively a live person, because the information goes straight to the business owner when people interact with the voice AIs, and we can capture everything. And today it's just come of age, because 6 months ago you used to have latency and all of that, so you could tell that it was actually a non-human talking to you. But in the last few weeks, they've really come of age, and it's very, very hard to tell that it's actually not a human having a chat with you. So that's what I'm doing. Anything to do with online marketing, I'm happy to help, happy to have a discussion with anyone, point them in the right direction, and they work with me, well and good. If they don't, then we'll still point them in the right direction as well.
Thank you, Fred. It is scary in a way, because, well, maybe that's not the right word. It is incredible what's taking place, isn't it, when it comes to the AI revolution that's going on. But because I can remember a few months ago, Fred, you actually sent me a recording of my voice, right? And it sounded exactly like me, and I didn't even know I'd said those words. Unbelievable. And that was months ago. Think what they can do now. That's the point you're making, right?
Yep.
Well said. Well said. Alan.
Hi, Peter. Hi, everybody. I've got a question, actually, whether it is the real Fred Gillen speaking today, because normally he would say more marketing ideas several times, and he didn't say it once. So
Yeah.
is it really you, Fred?
Oh, you'll have to stay until later and find out, won't you? But that was just one more marketing idea.
Right. Oh, right. That's reassured me now. Okay. I'm Alan from Hampshire in the UK, and my company, Alpus Group, we repurpose unused or underused property. So, for example, the empty office block that's no longer needed since COVID and changed working habits, we'll convert that into high quality residential, or we can take shops and uppers, that's retail space that may be unused, underused, and convert that. Any sort of building we can repurpose. Another one example would be closed down care homes. Any sort of building that has an existing envelope, we can repurpose the inside to much better social use. And there's a critical housing shortage in the UK, as there is in many countries around the world. So it's very, very much needed by society. And we also make good returns for investors, as well as giving good deals to property owners as well. I'll put my details in the chat. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Alan, very much indeed. And it's lovely to see you awake. Well done indeed. Well done. Okay, Vangelis, followed by Gabby.
Hello, everyone. Vangelis. I'm here in Costa Rica at the moment. I work with companies and I help them with their key product indicators, their KPIs, performance indicators. And what differentiates me or sets me apart is I add the human element, which is working with the hidden strategic sabotaging tendencies or psychological barriers that hinder improvement. And sometimes you cannot remedy a company scenario with a business tool. So that's what I do.
Is Peter frozen or is he going to sleep?
I was going to say he's gone to sleep.
I think that,
John's got to take over now.
The AI
Yeah.
battery died.
Yeah.
It could be that the AI is doing a
I think
changing of the guards.
Yeah, I think his internet's up.
Yeah. Daniel, why don't you go next?
Gabby was going to go next.
Sorry, Gab, you go and then Daniel.
Okay. So, my name is Gab or Gabby or Gabrielle or whatever you want to call me. So I basically help with web design and basically helping people digitally kind of like get their voice heard on the internet. So I take a brand strategist point of view and perspective, and I merge it with being able to like code things so that your website can kind of like stand out from other people. But I also help with like people who don't understand where their brand is. So I'm like a mix of a brand strategist and a website designer in one. And I help people kind of like elevate their voice digitally with social media influencing as well. And I use the power of being autistic and having ADHD to kind of like uplift others through that. So that's what I do.
Oh, thanks, Gabby. The one thing, Gabby had a really big win this week. I don't know if you want to share it, but go ahead.
Oh, so I've had really a lot of wins this week. So the biggest one is I was invited to the Golden Rule Society to be a web creator for them or do their like whole entire website, which was a blessing. Um, but I don't know. I've had so many really good wins this week, and I was so depressed and so sad because like I didn't even know really what I was doing before, but after talking and speaking with John and Peter, I just had such great encouragement and a few of you other ones too, like Daniel and whatnot, where like you guys spoke with me and I really appreciate that too. So I don't know. I had a lot of wins this week, so I don't know which
That's
one.
good.
So, but it's a blessing either way you put it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Gabby. One of the other things too that I'd like to throw in here is at the end before we start, if anybody's had any wins, by all means, feel free to share them. Daniel?
Yeah, well, hello everybody. First of all, congratulations to you, Gabby. It's wonderful news. And everything happens for a reason and in divine timing. So now is your time. I'm Daniel Kobryner, living in London. I'm a high energy, heart-centered life and business coach, international motivational speaker, and the host of the podcast called Redesign Your Life Today, where I feature heart-centered individuals who have undergone profound life transformation and want to share with others. I empower purpose-driven entrepreneurs and small business owners over 40 to break through stagnation, to regain their clarity, and to become fully aligned and unstoppable. My superpower is to hold a sacred space so that my clients can share vulnerably without a fear to be judged, to be criticized, or to be given unsolicited advice. And one area I specifically work in is help my clients encounter their saboteurs. This is all these little voices in your subconscious mind who prevent you from doing the things you really want to do and who stop you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Mr. McNeill.
Oh, great. It's my turn. I'm ready. Good morning to everyone. How are you guys doing? I hope you all are wonderfully well. I love being a part of this circle. I take notes on everybody every single time I talk. I come into this circle. But my name is Brian K. McNeill, and I am a sales coach. I'm a sales confidence coach because there are so many amazing people, just like the ones in this circle, that offer services that help others and genuinely help others. But a lot of those people do not earn the money that they could or that they should. And very often they don't earn that money for two reasons. One is they simply do not know how to sell it well. And two, they simply will not even offer it. That's what happens. So what I do is I teach them what to say and do so that they can sell themselves, which they very often forget to do, and their services better than they ever have before so they can earn more money. And I do it through my coaching, through my workshops, through my Talks, my platform, or through my books. Super excited. I just published my 8th book. I want to just say this too. As a sales confidence coach, how do we do that? And I think it speaks to today's topic. What I do by teaching them specifically what to say, what to do, and when to do it, infuses my clients with confidence so that they can ask for the business. Brian K. McNeill, the sales confidence coach.
Thanks, Brian. You know, Brian just brought up a really good point for all of us here and all of us watching the replay. You have to ASK to GET. So many people are scared shitless, pardon my English, to ask for the order. They wait for the prospect or the client to say, oh, please, show me where to sign. Show me, let me give you money. That's not going to happen. You have to ask to get. And so many people, like I said, are scared just to ask. And this is what Brian teaches, what Daniel teaches, what all of us teach through one way or another is how to ask for that order. You can have the best product and be the best kept secret simply because you don't ask for the order. Quick review. I'm John D. Allen Small Business Coaching. I am a trust-based sales and marketing coach. So if your sales aren't where you want them to be, or you're not bringing in the leads or what you want it to be, a lot of it can be because your prospects don't trust you. They don't have to know you or like you, but they have to trust you before they'll ever buy from you. And I'll bet we've all been guilty of having great conversations and think, wow, that person's a really good friend, but they don't buy from you. Why? Because they don't trust you. They don't feel confident in you that you can solve their problem. Now, this is what Brian, Daniel, Fred, Vangelis, Kristine, Alan, Tony, everyone teaches is how to have confidence in yourself. So with that, I'm sure there's apologies that Peter was going to bring up from a lot of people that are usually here that aren't. So unfortunately, I don't know.
Can I say something? I just got a message from Peter. He's been hit by a very massive blackout, that it's out of his control, which is why he dropped off. He sends his apologies to everyone. And I said, look, we're carrying on regardless. And you can just, because he was going to rerun this next week. And I said, well, look, we'll just finish what we're doing and you can decide what to do with it later. I think it's worthwhile we finish this and we can do part B next time. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay, let's keep going then. Yeah.
And, as I was saying, there's likely people that send in apologies that are normally here but aren't. So since I'm not unaware of who they are, I'll just say that whoever it was, we missed you and we look forward to seeing you next week. So let's get on with the topic. How do you recharge when you're suffering from burnout or slowdown? Alan, you're quick off the thing here. What do you got to say?
Yeah, you should know what I'm going to say as well, John, because I'm going to talk about power napping. So what you do is you basically give the impression that you're awake, but you actually take a power nap and catch up with some of the sleep you're short of. So the best way to do this is if you prop your chin on your hand like this, and then keep your eyes open while you're power napping. So it's a really great way of recharging your batteries, and I recommend it to anyone. What you don't do, of course, is not put your hand in place and fall asleep, in which case people do notice you're not there.
And the other part is no snoring.
No, definitely no snoring, or put yourself on mute before you actually start to snore.
Good tip, Alan.
And do
Now
you
on a now on a serious note, what else have you got to offer on a serious note, Alan?
Well, the other thing I do when I am tired is I'll actually go and run, because I find that recharges my batteries. That's my way of getting rid of stress, and it sort of just makes me feel better. I go out in the countryside around here, as you can see from the greenery. We've got a lot of trees and woods around where I live. And I feel really privileged to actually be able to run in the woods. And it just totally makes me feel like a different person once I've done that. Thanks, guys.
Great. Excellent. Ryan, I'm not sure whether you or Tony had your hand up next, so whichever one of you gentlemen wants to go.
I think it was me. I was second. But this is a wonderful topic, and I'm gonna be brief as I can. But bell to bell, the concept bell to bell, new toy to new toy. Learn something new. When people start to get dragging on their work, when they get tired in their work, and they find themselves that way consistently, we live from new toy to new toy. We have to take in something new to keep us going. Just like a kid, get a new toy and super excited about it. They play with it for a while, but then they need a new thing to keep them going. It could be just focus on saying a client's name more often, or thanking more people. Just a new toy to new toy. And I'm going to recommend 3 little tiny books that help to remotivate us when we get tired like that, when we start to drag. There's 3. Number 1 was Even Eagles Need a Push. Even Eagles Need a Push by David McNally. That book right there took me out of a funk. I was in a funk in my business, but Even Eagles Need a Push. You could be a high achiever for a long time, but it's hard to be a high achiever all the time. So Even Eagles Need a Push. That's one. The next one, Notes from a Friend by Tony Robbins. Notes from a Friend, a real tiny little book. It got my head right. I was going through a separation and a divorce, but Notes from a Friend, a little book, just kind of refocused me. That was a great book. And the third one I want to recommend is, when you're feeling like you're sluggish like that, and you're not making it happen, and you wonder why it's not happening, the book is called Can You Stand to Be Blessed? Can You Stand to Be Blessed? A real little tiny book by T.D. Jakes, actually. Can you stand to be blessed? A lot of times we get in our own way because we unwittingly can't even stand the idea of being blessed. But can you stand to be blessed? Notes from a Friend and Even Eagles Need a Push is what I'm going to submit today to get us out of that funk and over those things. Thank you.
Can you put those in the chat, Ryan?
I think I can. Yes, I can do that.
Thank you. Tony?
Thank you. Thank you. This has been awesome so far. I got to give a shout out to Alan, because that's so funny. And, part of this could be that we laugh a little bit and we don't take ourselves so seriously. Wear life more like a loose garment than a tight choke or collar around our neck. I came up with 2 kind of funny little things. Because when I burn out real hard, and I grind harder. And the more I grind, the harder it gets. And it seems like I'm forcing my will on the world. So I don't need more grind. I need more grounding. And when I ground, it brings me back to where I am and where my feet are, because my head just goes crazy when I'm not grounded well. And the second one was that when I feel pressure and I try to reconnect by eliminating the pressure, I get more pressure because I focus more on the pressure. So I don't need more pressure. I need more presence and being where, my feet are again. So both of those things bring me back to this now. And I came to those 2 conclusions with this question by thinking about me having to learn what I don't want before I know what I want. You can never get to what you want or what you dream or aspire without knowing what you don't want. and cleaning out the old, because the change won't happen if you keep doing the same things over and over again. And that's my little message of the day, is the more I push, the more I have to push. So take a break, slow down. It's not really all about, being exhausted. It's about being disconnected. Try to reconnect to real purpose and real truths by being the movement of the week or the month with, and Kristine might be able to support this idea, is just to be still these few end of June weeks. Be still and listen. The answers will come. When you try and find the answers and dig in the pile, you're not going to find them. More like Gabby had her beautiful wins this week by just kind of throwing in the flag a little bit and disconnecting. Definitely not quitting, but letting the universe or God, I believe in God, take over and kind of run the show a little bit for a minute, rather than try and fight and burn out. Thanks.
When you were talking about being grounded, Tony, do you actually go out and stand in the grass in your bare feet?
So about a year ago, I started walking my dog barefooted, and I went actually through the winter. It's really cold here in New England, and there was a few days when it was like ice or snow on the ground, and I still did it. But sometimes I throw on boots. I always tell my people I work with and close friends and family, touch grass, hug trees. And I really practice that. My garden's amazing, and I'm out in the sun and any weather, actually. Just touch grass, hug trees. You can always bring a journal with you, and the thoughts will flow. We are part of this planet, and it all but works on vibration. So yeah, that's a solution for sure. Yep.
And being on the ground does get you through it. Kristine, I'm sure you can enlighten us on some of these ideas, what have you.
Oh, and I do agree, only that being still is a good way to grounded, because what that helps you do is to not be so subjective. You become more objective if you are still and you take a step back. So that's a good I think strategy. But I want to elaborate also on what Alan said earlier, because there is I think it's an SAS or Army strategy to stay awake when they can't afford to sleep for long. It's 18 minutes. You can lay down and you may sort of doze off, but in 18 minutes, you don't actually fall asleep. But the 18 minutes refreshes you. So if you set your alarm for 18 minutes and you get up, it will refresh you, because once you go beyond that and you fall asleep, you wake up and you feel drowsy. So you can nap in the afternoon for 18 minutes, and it will rejuvenate you for the rest of the afternoon. But the ones that I wanted to particularly talk about, I have never in my life ever burnt out, ever. And I'll push myself, and recently I pushed myself, but it's knowing I'm getting tired. I need to back off, and the best way to do that is to get away from technology, your computer, artificial light, and get out in the sunlight to get some vitamin D. You need to walk, move your body, get your legs moving to pump the blood and lymph out at the lower limbs, and it helps the heart. But it also sends oxygen and glucose to your brain so that when you've gone for this walk and gone out and breathed some fresh air, got a little bit of sunlight, you come back, your mood is better, your brain's working better, so you're going to be more productive. You've given your brain a bit of space so it can actually think and be creative, because when you are kind of overwhelmed with a thing, and that was mentioned just a second ago about, you sit there and you're bashing your head on the brick wall. You can't get the answer. But if you take that break it's like going to sleep overnight. You wake up in the morning and you've got an answer to the problem you had yesterday because you've given your brain space. Your brain will work it out if you give it time. But if you try and push it and push it and push it, it'll rebel and won't work so well. So it's listening to your body, knowing when to back off, and then using a few strategies. The other thing is, if you're feeling stressed, you got this extra energy, and that's not good for you because it might hype you up and make you irritable. So go for a big walk, brisk walk, burn that energy off, and when you come back, you feel great because exercise actually sends all the good hormones around your body, serotonin, oxytocin, that kind of stuff, and it makes you feel good. So you're going to be in a better frame of mind to make your decisions and maybe deal with other people who've maybe cheesed you off. So there are a few of my strategies.
Thanks, Kristine. Now, for more business ideas.
No, you got to get it right, John. It's more marketing ideas. It's
more marketing ideas.
It's more marketing ideas. All you've got to remember is more marketing ideas. Just more marketing ideas. That's all you've got to remember. Just more marketing ideas.
It was the stress.
Is that enough? Look, guys, I'm a little bit like Kristine. I've never actually hit what I've heard people talk about burnout, right? I've never actually hit that. I've been stressed in corporate. Unfortunately, I'm not in that situation anymore. So I don't work 5 days or 7 days a week. I work when I want to work and I do what I want to do. And I think that's pretty important for anybody, that they got to love what they do and they got to do it because they want to do it. If you're stressed because you're doing it for financial reasons, you need $1 or whatever else, then you've got to really look at what you're doing and seeing if it's something you want to do. If I get, where I don't believe I'm being productive, and I'm not succeeding in what I'm doing, then I'll take time out. And usually my time out is going out in the backyard and, partaking. And I'll relax with a glass of red and watch the sun come up or go down or whatever it might be. And like Kristine was saying, get a bit of vitamin D, move around, maybe get the mower out or do something similar. Just take my mind away from whatever I was doing. And then once I'm recharged, I just come back in and get stuck in. But the thing about it is you've got to control your stress levels. And if you're getting stressed with working on projects for clients, you're working on the wrong projects or you're doing it wrong. You just need to slow down and realize what you're doing, or charge more and do less, So that's me. And that's just one more marketing idea. Charge more, do less.
There you go. Now, if you're feeling ambitious, you want to run the mower, I got an acre lawn here. By all means, come on over.
Mate, I got one here myself, so that's enough for me.
Vangelis?
I only burn out when I'm not doing or expressing me. I was, for the first 50 years of my life, doing things I didn't want to do. And I would be up at 2 a.m. in the morning, wishing I was doing what I was passionate about, feeling burned out all the time. Now I'm doing what I want to do and I'm up till 4 and I go to bed because I got to go to bed. But I've got so much momentum. I have so many ideas in my head, and I like last night, same thing. I had so many ideas in my head. I was on a roll, and I thought, it's already 3 o'clock. And so it's amazing how if you're actually expressing yourself and sometimes I just say, what do you want to do? I'm speaking to myself. And if I'm tired, maybe I might take a nap, or I might listen to music, or I might play the piano and play music, or I might watch a movie. I might watch a comedy because I want to laugh, or I want to watch a movie that just, makes me feel like, all right. It's just depends on what the actual mood is at the moment. Sometimes I go exercise. Sometimes I call a friend, talk to somebody. But the thing about burning out is usually it's when I'm doing something that I don't want to do. Yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you. Gabby, how does a young person like you deal with burnout? or stress?
Well, okay. So I think I've gotten better over time. I think that as you get older, because I've realized this, because I have a lot of friends that are much older than me. And when I notice there's a difference. So I think that a lot of older people have experienced so much like stress and understanding of like how to maintain situations that they just like they're better at handling it. And that's something that I think I'm still like learning to do. Right now, my biggest thing is I am teaching myself to identify when I'm stressed, first of all, because I sometimes have a really hard time knowing when I've reached that point of a lot of stress and where I've taken on too much or where I have to identify my own emotion first before I can resolve it. And it kind of fits in with what you teach, that you should fall in love with your prospect's problem. Like, so it'd be my own problem. I need to figure out when I'm stressed first before I can actually solve an issue. So to answer your question more directly, I feel like for me, um I try my very best to cope through it. So like I'll go on a walk or like once I am able to identify it and I try to practice a lot of mindfulness and I try not to take on more than I can handle. But it's become a lot easier since I have kind of been able to identify what my business is because my business, it's something that I like to do. So I find a lot of peace in what I do, and I can kind of do it to kind of ground myself. So if I'm really, really stressed, I just try to find ways to ground myself, but I first have to figure out that I'm stressed. So I'm teaching myself to identify way ahead of time before I actually like I'm trying to figure out ahead of time so that I can actually like resolve the problem.
Andrea, you brought up a very valid point. Being able to figure out when you actually are stressed, because I know so many of us, we can be involved in a project and so deep into it, we don't even realize we're stressed. And that can cause innumerable problems. Daniel, I'm sure you come across that in the people you deal with.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say I'm quite fortunate because I never experienced real burnout. No, sometimes extreme, fatigue and this, but what I've learned is really to pause. It was a lot of, you said this before, but it's really to pause, take a step back. I mean, going for a walk. Yes, going for a walk, it's so powerful. It's, you go there, particularly, in the nature, you feel the sun, and all of a sudden it feels better. It's these deep connections to nature. Me, it would be as well, for instance, to listen to some music I really like. Sometimes I need some energy and I know which music is going to kind of pump me up. So I'm just going. Or for instance, could be as well, you know, playing tennis. But more generally, it's really taking the life more, how do you say, with more calmness. Realizing, for instance, that even, I used to take things personally. I think like nearly everybody does. But when you realize, for instance, that whatever people say, whatever people do to you, it's got nothing to do with you. It's just a reflection of who they are, with their insecurities, their fears, etc. So already with this, just when you start, and it's like a muscle, you've got to work on this muscle, but when you work on this and afterwards, people can say what they want. You think, well, it's your problem, it's not mine. So you see, it's really about having more serenity. And another very important point for me is as well practicing gratitude. I mean, gratitude is coming on top of the list. Being really grateful for, first for being alive and for the people around me, and for all the little, all the little wins when we just, think about this. I mean, in the morning, what were the wins we had yesterday, and thinking about, what can we do differently today? Just this, and realizing as well that a lot of things are not within our control. So when it's not, it's not. And, so we can only control ourselves, and we cannot be attached to the outcome because we don't know what it's going to be to do. So again, it's realizing this, and then, just, yeah, and fully enjoying the present moment, fully doing that. And of course,
Thank you, Daniel.
yeah, thank you, Jim. Last thing, of course, all this whilst helping others. This feeling of being of service, this is really so fulfilling.
Now, you brought up some really good points. I used to be one of them dumb workaholics, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. And I ended up with a major slap alongside of the head. And I was in the hospital for 5.5 weeks. That was a major wake-up call. But the thing that it actually showed me was there's more to life than just working. I let my personal life slide. I let everything else slide because the job was the big deal. And it was a major wake-up call. And after, when I only ended up working 8 hours a day, when I got home, my wife and son said to me, "What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at work?" I was wandering around. I was at a total loss of what to do with all this extra time. And then it dawned on me that, hey, there's more important things than just work. You have to have balance in your life. And that's one of the things that stress can do. It can throw you out of balance, like everybody said. So learn how to get back into balance. Be grateful for the things around you that you have and the important people in your life, because the job can replace you in 48 hours. Your family can never replace you. And, take Tony's idea of walking on the grass, Kristine's idea of vitamin D, Gab's idea. Here's a young neurodiversity person that can teach us all, because, hey, we've all got stuck in our ways of doing things. And when you get a new, fresh mind like Gabby coming in, that can help us all change. You got Vangelis that said he wanted to be a musician, but his parents thought, that wasn't a real job. So he had to go get a real job. And what did he talk about? Missing what he actually loved to do. We're all the same. Brian was the same. Kristine, Daniel, Alan, all of us, Fred, we've all been the same. So learn how to relax, let go, and that'll help you get through to what you want. Gabby?
So, what I was going to say is I was a former nursing major, and if you know nurses like get like the worst burnout, like that's like known ever, because they put so many patients to one nurse. And when I was doing like my clinicals and whatnot, I remember that I was struggling so much to find my inner peace. And I realized that when I was doing all these jobs and doing things that, can you not hear me? Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, I wasn't sure. Sorry. Um, okay. So, oh shoot, what was I saying? Okay, I was gonna say that okay, so when I was in nursing, I remember because I was never like a full-on nurse because I didn't graduate. I decided to switch majors. But when I was doing clinicals and I was working in gerontology and whatnot, I remember that I was constantly burnt out. Like we had the longest clinicals and they put so many people to one nurse because I was in one of the best nursing programs in my state. And they were teaching us how to basically go through it with it anyway. And I just was not in the right place and it just was very stressful to me. So I switched majors to psychology, but now I've incorporated all these things because I feel like you will be led to the things that you need to be able to use in your craft. So I think that when you reach that place where you are in peace with what you're doing, it kind of becomes a lot easier to manage the burnout. But if you are in something that you do not like, or something that you've been kind of forced into, or that you just don't have a passion for, it becomes so much harder to manage it, and it happens like that you get burned out. Like me with my business right now, since I love what I do, I don't think I actually get burnt out. It's more so that sometimes I just have trouble managing stressful aspects of things that I'm hit up with, like from a random like time, you know? So I think that there's a difference between that burnout, and there's a difference between being just stressed. Because burnout just makes you tired. You don't have energy. You can't really move. You can't really do what you need to do. But when you have that, I don't know, if you just have love and passion for what you do and you feel purposeful, I think burnout becomes something that's really difficult to kind of like experience, because it's more so stress, in my opinion. I want to know what you guys think too, but so
That,
yeah.
that's a good point, Tony.
Yeah, I'd like to double dip also. All this stuff reminded me of what our stress comes from, and it's anything outside the human needs, outside our basic core principles or our first principle of being a human. So we all suggest we go back to being a human rather than trying to, work or technology. That stuff is like disconnected from us, although we try to connect to it the best we can. But we all seem to like agree that we go back to our basic needs. And it reminded me, and I think Brian mentioned Tony Robbins' book, but Tony Robbins, he's a pretty powerful dude, actually. But he does the human needs. I just looked it up real quick. There's 6 core human needs that drive human behavior and influence with our decisions. The first one's certainty. The second one is variety. Significance is number 3. Love and connection, growth, and most important, contribution, as Daniel so well said. So I just wanted to double dip and tell us all that, when we're stressed or, burned out, it's because we're not being our human selves.
Now, Vangelis has mentioned many times that when he was dealing with the corporate people, a lot of those guys didn't, men and women, didn't really know why they were there. They were sitting in the big chair, but they didn't really know why they were there.
Yeah, I
And it
know.
becomes
That's
a
a
very
powerful
stressful
story you have
situation.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
really crazy. Yeah, being in that corporate world, I never dabbled in it, but I could only imagine. That's a powerful story he shares. Yes. Remind us, Vangelis.
Well, I think some of the things that people have been saying is that when everything is just a task, it's just an activity. You don't really have an idea of why you're doing what you're doing. That's really mostly what I ask people about is it. If you see 2 people, and both of them are bringing flowers, okay, and you listen to one of them, they say, "Gosh, I know my partner really enjoys flowers, and I just have such a genuine desire to do that and give this to them and stuff." The other person is thinking, "Boy, I missed this last time. Boy, if I don't do it now, I'm really gonna." Same activity, but what's behind it, right? So it's not necessarily activity that burns anyone out. It's why are you doing what you're doing? And when you see a goal and you have an objective that's something that is interesting to you, the impact, people want to feel significant. They want to know that they're really adding something. And so one of the first things that I do in any project is I give people the big picture. I say, "You guys know what you're doing?" Well, we're doing, so no, those are your activities. but do you guys know what you're doing as a whole? What's your part that you're playing? And once they feel like they actually have a piece of what's going on and they can influence, they have an impact and they're significant, they start feeling like, gosh, I really matter. Yeah, you do. I mean, if you don't do this, then this happens, this. So yeah, there's a lot more depth to it, but that's kind of the overall thought behind it. Thanks.
Thanks, Vangelis. Kristine?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak further on what Gabby was saying and what Vangelis was saying, because last night I was listening to a podcast and the person being interviewed said something very profound, and it was something that I totally believe is true. And she said that 90% of people die and have never achieved their purpose in life or achieved any of their dreams. They lie on their deathbed with regret. And they've probably lived their life feeling maybe unhappy in their job, unfulfilled in their life. And that can actually cause people stress, and especially if they're working at a job they really don't like. And Gabby said it, and Gelly said it. And I've worked in jobs I didn't like because they didn't align with who I am. And so, yeah, that is stressful to people. And it's no wonder in this world that we have people that have there's a totally high incidence of mental illness. And that's global, because people are not actually taught at an early age how to actually be themselves. They live someone else's expectations. They live someone else's dreams and goals. They don't live their own. That's a dream to them. They don't realise that maybe that's just what they should be doing. And that's why we're coaches, right, Daniel, and you guys, because this world is it's confusing people, and they're not authentically themselves. They don't know how to be themselves, and that causes stress in their lives, and people don't know how to deal with that because it's so deep, and that's where they need us. They need people like all of us, because we all have our talents to help them, and we genuinely want to help them so that they can be a productive person, because if you love what you're doing, you're going to be more productive at it, and you're going to be happier. That's what we want for people.
Thanks. Daniel?
Well, it's for me, it's exactly on the same vein of, several of you said now, it's the purpose, if we do something which we don't feel like, doing, it can't go on. I mean, if it's a job, we can't, you know what? Because even if we are good at this, we can be good. I mean, technically, but we're not aligned. So sometimes it's really helping people getting this awareness that they can change, or we can change at any time in our life. It's never too late. And if we do, some people sometimes say, yeah, I'm too old, I don't have this, I've had, no, it's all excuses. But, to do that, it's very difficult to do it on our own, because we don't see our blind spots, we don't see. So it's why really we need support. And if we see people, and it's not about us offering our services, it's really about first helping people being aware, that there's an issue and that there's more to life, because we've all here in this room have experienced big transformations in our lives, and we know that it's possible, but for a lot of people, they don't. So it's really helping people, really spreading the message. And, a very important aspect as well is in life, we have to learn how to say no. Because very often, we try to please, we do things, yes, but, we end up forgetting ourselves. So again, it's about setting very clear boundaries which are aligned with who we are. And when we do that, we take this step back, and then all of a sudden, lives become much more enjoyable.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Daniel. Vangelis, wrap up the session.
Sure. Echoing what Kristine and Daniel said, people would say, "Oh, you must really love what you do. You do it so well." No, I just do everything well. I'm not doing what I want to do. I mean, sometimes you get a little off course because people are always giving you these accolades because all of us are very, very focused on what we do. And so we can do things that we don't even want to do sometimes better than other people. And then you get thought, well, this is what you want to do. And I didn't even know who I was because I was living by everyone's expectations. So those are things that have thrown me off. You don't even know that my beliefs aren't even my beliefs. My desires aren't even my desires. So to pause and just sit back and find out, why am I doing what I'm doing? That right there can just be the first step into addressing the burnout. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody, and look forward to talking to you next week. Have
Enjoy your
a great
journey.
week. And